grateful you chose toilets to titles. We give fantasy football advice. Get your crack team to the finals. From Nate's cousin Eddie persona and his unapologetic love for Chubb, and Justin's hatred for Chris Ballard, our show is as good as a belly rub. Mark is the best of the NFC West, putting down Penguin Pete with his love for the Rams. Grab a whiskey or a beer, we're glad you're here. Welcome to the family, but plan for gibberish and rambling.
We have recent news and games of the week. We talk PPR and weekly streams. Start them and sit them, keep them or quit them. Hit the like and sub buttons for the fellas. Got any suggestions, just tell us.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Toilets and Titles. My name is Justin Stevens, episode 245. Again, thank you all so much for tuning in, and we appreciate the one person that tuned in during the intro song that did not just dip out, so you are absolutely awesome. Mark, all right, it's time for the game of the week for the intro music. What genre did the AI say that was?
Was that baby making music or?
Believe it or not, I kind of felt like, it kind of felt like after the week that some of us had this week, we needed a little bit of Jesus in our lives. That was gospel music supposed to be. It wasn't, but it was supposed to be. AI let us down on that one, that's for sure. All right, so you guys can see we are down a man, so this is going to be a little bit quicker show than typical, because we're just going to kind of briefly discuss Nate's picks throughout the show here. But for the most part, you get Mark and myself. Mark, man, we discussed a little bit about this. But now that there's a chance that he may be watching this, I need you to tell me again, what was it exactly you did to David in the Frankenstein?
Ooh, I baited him. Good. I pulled out my good players. I still had some left that I couldn't get out of the lineup, so I threw Trevor Lawrence in there, knowing he only had one quarterback. And I was praying. I said, "Please take Trevor. Please take Trevor." And he stole Trevor from me.
Nice. So, and you helped David out because he does still need a quarterback. So it helps him a little bit. But
how much Trevor will help him, but
right. All right, we got Duarte in the house already, man. We appreciate you, buddy. And Wyatt, my man. Hey, good evening. All right. Awesome. All right, so we have a little bit new setup with our show doc as well, thanks to Mark, our new IT assistant. He didn't know that he was taking on that role, but let's see. toiletsandtitles.com. You guys go there to check out our articles, check out our episodes, and then we also have our Discord chat. Guys, that's reach out to me at JustinFF_ or at Toilets and Titles on the artist formerly known as Twitter, and asked to get locked in on our Discord chat. We've got several different channels, all things football, and sometimes a little bit not football, but we try to keep the football in there for the most part, but we have fun with it. You can check out the other guys' Twitter handles at Nate_Dirt19, and of course my man here at MT Simon. So like and subscribe while you're on here. We've got some news for you. We're going to start off with the injury updates here. So, Mark, you want to start on that list, and when you get about halfway down, I'll take over.
Okay, so we have Trey McBride. He's questionable. He's in concussion protocol right now. Adam Thielen is on the IR. He's out for the next 4 weeks with a hamstring injury. Keenan Allen is still questionable, hasn't played since week 1. Njoku's questionable still, ankle injury. Cooper's a little banged up after a great performance last week. He's questionable. Jordan Love is still iffy if he's coming back this week or not. Damian Pierce and Joe Mixon will be questionable again after missing last week. Tank Dell has some rib soreness, so he's added to the Houston questionable list. And Evan Ingram, we'll see if he can bounce back from that hamstring injury. Doug Peterson said today it will be close. getting Ingram back in week 4.
Yeah, and if they're already saying on Tuesday that it's going to be close this weekend in week 4, usually that means it's probably going to be week 5.
Yeah.
But for the Chargers, we've got Josh Palmer and Herbert. Both are questionable. So Herbert's issue, he came back a little bit too soon with that ankle injury. He had a high ankle sprain and then re-injured it this weekend. So personally, I think that they would be crazy to continue to push him out there. Herbert would be crazy to continue to try to play on it. Let's not cause more long-term damage. At least take a couple weeks off, ice that baby up, and be ready to – I mean, they're going to lose with or without you anyway. Cooper Kupp, he's still out nursing that ankle injury. They've already ruled him out for week 4. Tua is on IR with that concussion. We've already discussed that last week, but now we've got another Miami quarterbacking, Skylar Thompson, who is also questionable with a rib injury. So with or without Skylar, the Dolphins are in pretty rough shape. And also it continues with Raheem Mostert. He's still questionable for this week. Let's see, Jordan Addison, questionable with an ankle, but the coach, Kevin O'Connell, is optimistic for week 4 for Jordan Addison to make his return. A bone bruise for quarterback Sam Darnold, who's been playing like a madman. He is still very likely to play in week 4, though. Don't let it bother you. Bone bruise could be painful to play on, but looks like he's probably going to play. Taysom Hill, questionable. A.J. Brown, questionable with that hamstring still. Devonta Smith is in the concussion protocol. Jalen Warren and Najee Harris, both questionable. But the Najee Harris injury is not looking like something that's going to be too concerning. He's most likely going to play. Jalen Warren, on the other hand, with that knee, Coach Mike Tomlin stated that his status for week 4 is certainly in question, and it didn't look too likely based off of what we're reading that Jalen Warren will likely be able to play this week, which means fire up your Najee Harris. If he's the lone man in that backfield, whichever running back is the lone man in that backfield is going to score good fantasy points. Deebo Samuel, doubtful. George Kittle, questionable with that hamstring, but he's at least hopeful for week 4. Brock Purdy, back soreness. Kenneth Walker is still questionable. And then Eckler, believe it or not, after that decent game, he had a couple of solid moves. Towards the end of the game there, he did suffer a concussion and a lacerated ear, so he is in the concussion protocol. And then we only had one piece of other news, man. Would you like to share that bad news so that I don't have to be the bearer?
Yeah. Hall of Fame NFL quarterback Brett Favre announces he has Parkinson's disease.
Yeah. So that's a rough one as a guy that's always claimed the Packers as my second team. So hate to hear that as only I think 64 years old, 54 years old, 52 years old, something like that. So hate to hear that, man. But let's see. We've got a couple other people in the comments here. Jerry, yes, downhill spiral has begun for a few of us. And Frank, I started off 0-2 on purpose, got my hero, got my first win this week, and now I'm facing not having any quarterbacks at all, even with that win, because the guy I played didn't start anybody worth stealing. So I have no quarterbacks most likely headed into this week going up against one of the top teams in the division. So yeah, I'm probably about to hit that spiral too. I'm about to be 1-3. Rich, what's up, my man? Hey, good to see y'all in the chats. Thanks for chiming in. What else we got here? We've got patreon.com/toiletsandtitles. Guys, we have a tier for every budget out there. So everything from $2.99 up to $24.99. Each tier gives you more and more perks, I should say. But regardless, even at the lowest level, we'll get you in our Patreon only chat in the Discord, where a lot of our we do a lot of Patreon driven material that's just for you. So we greatly appreciate you guys. Game of the week. So Mark, last week it looks like you've taken over the season lead because Nate had it and he had a rough week. Nate have a rough week. Nate, yeah, he went with the Texans and the Vikings, 27-point differential. So he now is in last place with 49. but you jumped up. I believe you were in second, and you jumped up, or maybe you were in third and jumped up to first. But you had the Chargers and Steelers.
Yeah, 10-point game. Figured it'd be low scoring and close. That's why I went with it. You had the best one of them all, though.
Yeah, that was a fun game too, and I believe I was the first one to choose the teams last week. So
Your mic's going out.
oh, let me. Oh,
Sounds better now. It was
shouldn't be.
just that. Yeah,
All
it
right.
was just a quick second.
But yeah, I believe I was one of the first ones to choose the teams last week. So, or I think I was the first. So the Ravens and the Cowboys was kind of an obvious one for me. That 3-point differential was a good one to keep me alive here. But I'm still sitting just in second place at 41 points. So you have 37. So I'm 4 behind you, and then Nate is 8 behind me at 49. Week 4. All right, Mark, how are you going to keep this lead? You got to be the first one to choose this time.
Yeah, so I'm going to have to look it up while you announce your pick, but there was one I felt would be probably the best pick for our format, but the teams, it was just such a bad game. I didn't want to call it the game.
It was probably the Titans and Dolphins.
Yeah, that might have been it. But I'm going with.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, I'm going with the Falcons and the Saints. Both coming off of a disappointing loss. Saints kind of fell flat on their face after looking like world beaters the first 2 weeks. Falcons, I'm going to say it got screwed out of a win against the Chiefs. And I don't know. I think they're gonna play it close, and it should be a good game to watch.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be a lot of fun. Rich says hailstorm just rolled over. He said the damage is crazy, dude. We don't care about all that as long as you guys are happy and healthy and safe. So so those are the updates we need to see. But especially with you making that Frito money, man, you ain't got to worry about damage. You're all right. Let's see. I posted a pic in Discord of my son's car. Oh man, the hail totaled his car. That's insane. Again, man, just hope that he's doing all right because Keegan is tearing it up, and Frank, he's got to be healthy and ready to take the crown this year. Executive producer Lori chiming in. She hasn't chimed in quite a while. Matter of fact, it's been so long since she's seen an episode. Mark, the other day, she said she was grateful that you've been helping to give her Frankenstein advice because, as we all know, she doesn't really like my advice. So she usually reaches out to other people, but the other people she reaches out to is in her division. So she's been reaching out to you for advice, and she was like, is Mark ever on any of your shows? Well, yeah, he's kind of been co-host of the main show for a few weeks now. But anyway, so I think it's probably why she wanted to chime in and say hi. So
I was talking to her in the Discord chat last night, and I said, "Hey, Chase is scoring," and she's like, "Yeah, I just stole him." I was like, "Yeah, I was the one who told you to steal him."
Yep. She's happy she didn't listen to me. That's for sure. And I did admit in the Discord that I was wrong about Joe Burrow because it wasn't just that pass. He did hit 3 mid to deep level sideline passes that we hadn't seen him do in the first 2 weeks. That was the pass that I was concerned about. So now that he's hit it, I do feel a little bit better about him moving forward. Yep, there we go. What's up, Mark? Here to support. All right, so my game of the week for week 4, I've got I went with what again, I don't necessarily think that this is going to be best for our setup because I do think there's a chance that this could be a blowout either way if one team can happen to get a hold of the other early enough, which most likely would probably be the Bills in the blowout if it's going to be a blowout because that defense is starting to play like the Bills should be playing defense, and the Ravens defense isn't so much. But I went with the Bills and the Ravens, and I think it's going to be a fun and interesting game to watch, but also for the fantasy purposes between Josh Allen. If you guys notice, I tend to choose the games that have a lot of fantasy relevant players involved. So between Josh Allen and James Cook and now, I mean, even the rookie caught a touchdown pass last night. So Keon Coleman. Keon Coleman is getting involved. So, and then of course with the Ravens, you have Derrick Henry, Lamar, whichever tight end. I think both Ravens tight ends have an opportunity to step up here this week because that's one of the few weaknesses for the Bills defense. So that'll be interesting. That's something we'll be talking about more later. But yeah, for fantasy reasons, I'm going to ride with this game. And Nate chose his Packers. The Vikings are going to play at Green Bay against the Packers. So the Vikings are looking pretty good right now. Packers are looking pretty good with backup Malik Willis in there. So I'm with them. This is a divisional game. I don't think he just chose this as a homer pick. I think that should be a fun game to watch as well.
No, I considered it when I was looking through mine. I think it's a good pick.
Our upset of the week, I'm going to start with Nate. He went with the Cowboys getting 5.5, or the Giants getting 5.5 against the Cowboys. So he's all in on that Daniel Jones and Malik Neighbors Kool-Aid that's floating around out there, isn't it?
Cowboys might implode if they lose to the Giants.
Yeah,
The fan base, the ownership, everybody just might be they might burn the stadium down.
yep. Yeah, I don't think that one's going to happen. I think the Cowboys get right this week. But to be fair to him, we both got to choose first, and we both chose games that were relatively close in the point spread. Not really much of a upset, but I took the Bills taking 2.5. Like I said, I think if one team's going to dog walk the other one, it would be the Bills. I just think they're the better team right now. Even though the Ravens are playing really well on offense, I just think that defense isn't going to be enough for what we saw last night. Man, that Bills offense is clicking on all cylinders. So I think the Bills take that one pretty handedly. And I like yours. This one was fun. I actually started to type in yours and then realized that you had already taken it.
Well, the funny thing is, your pick was my number one pick, but I'm not going to pass up an opportunity to take the Rams, especially when I do think they're going to win. I don't know. I don't think Chicago's that good of a team.
They're not, and it's just honestly, I think they have the real potential to be after watching that game pretty intently against the Colts. Like once Caleb Williams starts to get this down, that team could be dangerous. They really could. But until then, he's going to continue to make the mistakes that he makes. A few misreads here and there, a lot of overthrows. I think he just gets excited. Once the game starts to slow down for him, I think he's going to be just fine in this league. Start him or sit him. So we're going to start with the starting. We'll go through the guys that we're starting this week, and these are all guys that are outside of the QB1 level, so they're QB 13 or worse. Outside of the RB 1 and 2, wide receiver 1 and 2, so wide receiver, running back 25 or worse, and then the outside of the tight end 1, so tight end 13 or worse. And that's their rankings right now overall, and we're starting them this week. Yeah, sometimes there's a little bit of cheating when you have a guy that's been hurt for a while, but it is starting to slowly get to that point where we're picking actual players. And since Mark went first, I'm trying my best not to choose the same guys. So I'll read mine and Nate's, but mine is CJ Stroud, currently QB 15, and he's facing the weak Jaguars secondary. I think that this one is a huge must start now. And part of that, believe it or not, is also because of Tank Dell being questionable with the rib issue. He's kind of a small guy. I think it might actually be easier on Stroud if he doesn't have to worry about so many receivers out there. I know that sounds insane, but as a young quarterback, if he could just go out there and just sling it, and he knows he's only got the two guys he has to feed, and the running game is going to be in rough shape with both of the running backs questionable and hurt right now, and most likely going to be playing hurt. I think they're going to rely on that pass, and I think that funneling it down to just keeping it simple for CJ Stroud, because they won't have to get tricky with the Jaguars. It should be a big fantasy game for CJ. I'm going to start Tyjae Spears too. He's currently the RB 37, and he's facing a Dolphins team that it's right now they're complete garbage without a quarterback. And then field position will be good for the Titans because of the really bad play right now from the quarterback for the Dolphins. So neutral game script. And right now, the Dolphins' defense is the fourth worst in the league right now against running backs. So all of those reasons kind of pile up. I see you in there trying to fix my.
Oh no, I was just clicking around. I wasn't trying.
I was going to say, don't be trying to Ron Burgundy there. DJ Moore is currently wide receiver 28 overall. He's going up against the Rams. In my mind, whoever goes up against the Rams until their defense starts to get healthy, the number one wide receiver is going to be an automatic touchdown for the wide receiver one in that offense against them. So I know I just kind of talked down a little bit on Caleb Williams, but he did also make a lot of good throws. He made a lot of smart decisions too, and then the Colts defense is actually better than advertised. So I think that's DJ Moore's a good play here. Travis Kelce, because after you took the one that I wanted, it was the only one that I wanted. I was like, all right, I guess I'm going back to either Travis Kelce or Mark Andrews again. So I chose Travis Kelce just because he is facing the Chargers. They've got that long history of knowing the Chargers, and the Chargers are in rough shape, so they should be able to just play around a little bit and get some guys some stats. Nate is starting Daniel Jones. He says Daniel Jones is LOL. Currently QB 17. The Cowboys defense isn't as good as they think. Seems like some turmoil in the Big D. Jones will have the rushing upside and hopefully get a couple of deep passes to inflate his numbers. Then he's starting Braylon Allen, the backup for Breece Hall, who's been playing pretty well, especially this past week. RB28, he says that Allen looked great against the Pats D, and they have a decent run defense. And then he said, I look for him to continue to get some good opportunities as they want to give Breece a little bit of a breather from time to time. So that also makes sense. Nate is following the stats in my mind here, where he's saying Keon Coleman, wide receiver 35. But he did have an 80% snap share, which is always good for a rookie wide receiver. He said that's enough for me, for Nate saying that's enough for him with that high-powered offense after embarrassing the Jaguars. And then he's starting Cade Otton, tight end 35. Otton had 7 catches on 8 targets last week. His best week so far, and he's firing him up if he is streaming tight ends. So, Mark, tell you what, you do your starting players and then explain the situation for our bench, and then start telling us who you're benching after that.
Okay. So for quarterback, like you kind of pointed out in the beginning, there is a little bit of cheating. But I'm just making up for all the cheating you did early on.
It was week 1, but week 2 because we did it right after week 1. But to be fair, it was like 7 of the 8 positions I cheated on.
Yeah. And honestly, I didn't like many of the quarterbacks outside of the top 12 this week. CJ Stroud, like you took, was one of the other guys I looked at, but the only thing that scares me with him is how bad that offensive line looked. Like, he got killed last week. But I'm going with Andy Dalton. He's only played 1 week. He's quarterback 31 right now. He put up a 30-point performance, and this week he's going to be going up against what last night looked like one of the worst secondaries in the league to me. So I think he's an easy start. Running back, I'm going Najee Harris. He's running back 31. Warren is considered week to week, and it sounds like he's got a good shot of missing the week, which is only going to increase the reps for Najee. And Indy's been letting people run all over them. Like, they should be, especially like against the Steelers, they should load up the box and try to shut down the run. But like you said, they probably won't do it. Wide receiver, I'm sticking on that train. I'm going Deontay Johnson, who's wide receiver 37, the red rifle, baby. And then you add up, he's going against the Bengals secondary again. So, like, seems like an easy pick for me. And then, like you, Jake Ferguson. Yeah, I took him. He's like the only tight end I want right now because I think he's the only one that's going to put consistent performances up for you. And he's missed what did he miss 1 week? Yeah, he missed 1 week, right? Or was it two? I think only one. He missed week.
Ferguson only missed 1 week.
Yeah, he missed week 2, and he's still tight end 13, so just outside of our qualifications.
All right, before you jump into the requirements for the sitting and give
Yep.
your sitters, I want to chime in Jason here, Jason Ortiz. Yes, we do take fantasy questions, especially today because we're running a little bit ahead of schedule and probably going to finish a little early. So if you got any fantasy questions, throw them out there. Start, sit questions, trade questions, injury questions, throw it out there. But I want to remind you, we do have our injury episode on Friday night. I forgot to mention that at the top of the show when we went over injuries. It's called TGIF. This guy is fragile, and what we do is we take Dr. Jesse Morse's list of all the injuries and everything from his website. We pay that premium for it. He knows he comes on the show from time to time to go over some of the deeper injuries with us, so he knows that we use his stuff and we give him all the credit. But we're on Fridays before the Sunday games. We do give a more detailed, in-depth analysis on whether or not Dr. Jesse Morse thinks that these guys are going to play or not. He's correct almost every time with it. Yeah, Jerry, I haven't seen the damage yet because I didn't know about it until we started here. So I just, obviously he must be okay or Rich wouldn't be chiming in. That's all that matters. May bench Trevor as punishment for yesterday. So, yeah. There was a time where she had said that she wishes she would have started somebody that didn't play just so that she would guarantee he wouldn't get in the negatives in Frank and lose her the game last night. So it got a little edgy. She got a little on edge about that game. Starting to look like how I used to in fantasy.
Yeah, I'm one of the most saddest people about Trevor Lawrence. I was big on him coming out, 10,000 yards in college, 90 touchdowns, national championships, and then he just can't figure it out at this level. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. So for our sit-em, what we are doing is we're benching one player that is currently either a quarterback 12, a running back 30, a wide receiver 30, or a tight end top 12. So with that being said, for quarterback, I'm benching Jaden Daniels. I just personally want to see one more week. That final touchdown pass that he had was beautiful. To be able to stand within that pressure, take that hit, and drop it into Terry McLaurin like that was nasty. But last week was the first week he threw any touchdown passes on the season. And like I've been mentioning already, that Bengals secondary is horrendous. So I just want to see one more week out of him doing something productive. And for running back, I'm benching Zach Charbonnet. He's running back 8 right now. And we don't know if Kenneth Walker is coming back, but even if Walker is out, I still want to bench Charbonnet. Just because Seattle is facing Detroit this week, who we just saw go up against another hot running back in James Conner and completely shut him down. So I expect a pretty similar result here. Wide receiver, I'm benching Jaden Reed. He's wide receiver number 9. Minnesota's defense just looks scary, man. They looked really good against Houston. So depending on if they have Willis or Love, Willis looks good as the backup for Love, but I mean, with that Minnesota's defense, I just don't know what we can predict out of these receivers. And then my tight end is going to be Cole Kmet. He's tight end 3 right now. He's your typical boomer bust tight end. He boomed last week, and I'm betting on the bust this week. So you want me to go through names quick?
Yeah, sure. But first I want to say,
okay,
for what it's worth, when I went to put in my 4 starts, I thought about who I wanted first, went to type them in, and then checked yours to see that all 4 of them were the same 4 that I was going to use as my starts as well. So I think that that's a pretty good indicator out there to people. Don't forget Andy Dalton, Najee Harris, Deontay Johnson, Jake Ferguson. These are guys that should be deeper on a lot of rosters that maybe you're leaning on whether or not you need to start them. They're all guys you should be starting this week. But yeah, if you want to go ahead and read through Nate's sits real quick,
Okay.
that'd be great.
So Nate is going to be sitting Jalen Hurts this week, currently quarterback number 9, going up against a Tampa defense. He says they had a big letdown last week. He looks for Tampa to turn things up a notch. The running back he's going to bench is Devin Achane, running back number 3. The Dolphins are sunk without Tua. Hard to sit this guy, but I definitely look for a better option, he says. His wide receiver he's sitting is Calvin Ridley, who's wide receiver 22. He says Will Levis is dog poo. He stinks. Ridley had 1 catch on 3 targets against Green Bay. Bench him. Tight end is going to be Hunter Henry, tight end number 8. The Pats play the Niners this week. He expects Fred Warner and the fellas to make things difficult between the numbers for Jacoby and Hunter.
Yep, I like it. Now, guys, it's important to understand we're not telling you to bench Jalen Hurts or to bench Devon Achane. What we're telling you when we're doing this starter sit is these are guys that are currently ranked high that we're not as high on for this week. Now, if Jalen Hurts is your only quarterback option, then you're starting Jalen Hurts. You're not going to go out and pick up a scrub and start him over Jalen Hurts. But if you've got another top 10 guy and it's a 1 quarterback league, or if you've got a couple of good options, and then Jalen Hurts has this matchup, maybe you can bench him or bump him down to your super flex. Just, expectations. Temper the expectations of these guys if we say sit. Like, for instance, go ahead.
Jalen Hurts, and you also have Andy Dalton. You starting Andy Dalton over Jalen Hurts?
Who's Dalton playing?
The Bengals.
Yeah, I think I'm starting Dalton.
I think I would too. It sounds crazy, just namesake, but I think when you start looking at matchups
and that's not just watching that one game and chasing Dalton's points either. No. That's watching the 2 previous games and knowing that they were only a quarterback away from being a decent ball club. I'm not saying they're going to win the Super Bowl with Andy Dalton. Don't get me wrong. I'm not even necessarily saying they come back and make the playoffs. I am saying that they can be a decent competitive team with Andy Dalton, though. So yeah, I like it. But what I was saying as a for instance is this week in my main home league, the guy I went up against benched Tyreek Hill because of the matchup and the fact that he didn't have Tua there. He benched Tyreek Hill, and I was like, heck yeah! But then he almost beat me because he started Deontay Johnson instead. So like that's where we're getting at. Sometimes you do actually follow these, and so. The reason I prefaced that is because I have Tyreek Hill as one of my sitting, and I don't normally start with wide receivers. But since we were talking about it, Tyreek Hill is currently wide receiver 22 with Tua and possibly even Thompson out in week 4. They're going up against the 3rd best defense against wide receivers. I'm out on Tyreek this week. Like, obviously, if I only have 4 wide receivers and I don't have too much of an option, maybe I have to start him at my flex. Then I'm going to and hope for a big open field play, but I'm going to bench him pretty much anywhere as much as I possibly can. Hunter Henry is currently the tight end 8 overall. He's facing the toughest team in the league against tight ends in San Francisco. So that kind of goes with what you were talking earlier. We might have that was Nate's. So Nate chose his after mine. He didn't choose a different one. I'm going with Ramondre Stevenson at running back, currently RB23. He will likely play with a pinky injury, and that was a pinky injury that he struggled with during the Jets game where he only got 6 carries for 23 yards and a lost fumble. So I can see that now with the 49ers, who have a very similar stingy defensive box against the run. I just don't really like Stevenson's chances to return to form in week 4. So, and then I'm sitting at quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, currently the QB 12, and he's facing a better than advertised Broncos defense. most likely he's going to pull out probably about a QB 15 to QB 20 performance here. So if you don't have any other options, then sure, whatever. But most likely you're going to bench him this week for a good streaming option.
Can I go back? I want to go back to Tyreek Hill real quick.
Uh-huh.
Do you change your mind at all if word comes out that they're starting Snoop? If they're going to start Huntley?
No, not really. I mean, Huntley's better in my mind than Thompson, but Huntley's new to that offense too. So,
Yeah.
like long term, give it a few weeks maybe, but no, I'm really not. I think Huntley's going to be more prone to just tuck it and run, if anything, and that doesn't help a heck of a lot with your wide receivers there.
Yeah. I just think Huntley's a more capable NFL quarterback than
For
Skylar
sure.
Thompson is. So it would give me a little more hope, but I'm with you. I thought
Not
Tyreek
not
Hill was not quarterback dependent, but it's showing when you have no quarterback, it hurts.
yeah. I was gonna say there's a difference between QB dependent and
Yeah.
not having a quarterback.
Yeah.
Um. Uh. Oh shoot.
What's up?
Don't know if I'm supposed to talk about this or not, but somebody's going through some stuff on our team, so we'll discuss that later. But that's not good. All right. Keep them or quit them. I'm going to give you a list of players. I took a lot of them off of the list because they're starting to bounce back. These are guys that some of the consensus right now, from what I've read on Twitter, I have been a little bit concerned about in these first 4 weeks or first 3 weeks and headed into the fourth week. I need to know, are you going to hang on to them and keep them, possibly use them, or are you trying to quit on them in the form of a trade or cutting or whatever, just getting them off your roster? So I'm going to run down the list and you say start or keep them or quit them. So Mark Andrews.
I'm gonna say keep him, but only because like there's nothing out. Like you really don't have options at tight end.
Okay, then how about Isaiah Likely? That one's not on the list, but
Yeah, I mean, I would rather Likely than Andrews at this point, even though Likely did absolutely nothing last week as well. I just think he has the potential to have a couple bigger games. I don't know.
I think both of them could have a solid week this week, at least into the double digits against Buffalo. So kind of looking forward to that matchup for them to get a little bit of bounce back at that tight end position. Christian Kirk.
Christian Kirk, yeah, I liked what I saw last night. Even in that blowout, he looked better.
I just hope it doesn't take a blowout to make it happen each week. Evan Ingram.
Yeah, I'm keeping him. I mean, the only downside is his injury. Once he's healthy, I think we can plug him in.
Okay. Well, he had that slow week 1 too, so before the injury, so I didn't know if that might between that and now having the hamstring injury. But
Yeah, I mean, I think we've seen Brenton Strange getting work pretty decent for tight ends. So I think once Ingram's healthy, he'll fall right back in line.
after the 2 touchdown performance from his replacement, Andre Iosevich, what do you think about T. Higgins?
Oh, I'm definitely keeping Higgins.
All right, still hanging on there. All right, I'll
Yes,
keep him on
sir.
the list. I'll keep him on this list. Mike Williams.
And I still don't want him. Cut him.
Still, yep. Okay. Terry McLaurin after the big
Yeah,
bounce back week.
gotta keep him after last night.
Okay, and now here's my argument against McLaurin. Once in a while, he'll do this to you. Once in a while, he'll have a game where it makes you think maybe they're going to use him. So I'm still kind of up in the air about it. I know that our man George is constantly on Terry McLaurin every single week, every single year. But one thing I will say he's got going for him is outside of that tough week 1, he has had the targets. So as long as he's getting the targets, he should get the fantasy points.
Yeah.
So
I'll go back and change my answer because I was thinking from a strict keep him or cut him standpoint, but you said trade too, right? So I would trade him after last night.
There you go.
If you can get somebody to jump on that, yeah, I'd trade him.
Same for Devin Singletary.
Yeah, I mean he's the only guy there right now that's getting touches. So yeah,
So
I mean, if you
you
can
want-
flip it into something better, then yeah, trade him. But otherwise,
all right. What about that Bengals backfield?
do we have to talk about this? Me and George had this out this morning over this. Chase Brown is such a better running back than Zach Moss. I don't care what he says. He's a better running back. He's outproduced him every time he touches the ball. Since he just needs to smarten up and give him the ball more. I'm keeping Chase Brown, but I think you got to keep Zach Moss too until since he smartens up. So I'm keeping both.
Yeah, I'm looking at the stats across here. They don't look very much like Chase Brown's that much better. But okay. No, I get what you're saying. He's more efficient and he does have more explosion when he hits that open field. But Najee Harris. Now I know for this week it's a good play. We've already discussed this. Have we seen enough from Najee to say that we want to keep him moving forward?
I just know you know he's going to continue to get the rock. So from that standpoint, yes, I want to keep him.
Justice Hill.
No. King Henry was back last week, and I think Baltimore realizes they need to give him the ball more.
Yeah, Justice Hill still had 8 points in PPR, so not really enough from a running back standpoint. That was, or wait, no, that's his average. He had 7.4 last week. So yeah, his best game 11.5. Maybe it might be time to cut free of him. He is the receiving down back, but Henry played more third downs this past week than he has all year. So definitely high potential to get rid of him there. But DeAndre Swift.
No, I wasn't on him big coming into the season. I'm still not on him now. I mean, I think I saw Herbert get some goal line touches last week, and then you have Roshan cutting into time there too. No.
Let's see. That's my roster. Poor joke execution. My expectations are well tempered. Oh, okay, I see.
That's my roster when we were going through the sitting players.
Yeah. Lori says, and Frank, we just need to win next week. Yeah, that's true. It's true.
Name of the game.
Trade question. I'm giving up Cup and Brian Robinson for Andrews and Mixon.
No.
Oh,
No.
man. So Eckler did start to show some burst again last night and before he got that concussion. So, but man, I don't know. I think that's still just a true split there. You're definitely getting the better running back. But
yeah, for sure. But
maybe there's
who knows what Mixon, like how serious Mixon's injury is.
Yeah, but who knows how serious Cup's injury is?
Yeah, I don't. From what I'm hearing, it sounds like it's going to be a 4 to 5 week injury. So he's been out 2 now.
Then why haven't they put him on IR?
Because we don't have any IR spots left. We ran out.
Really? Really?
Yeah, we ran out of injury to designation spots.
By week 3?
Dude, you heard me list everybody that was on the IR last week.
Wow. So this whole time I was kind of concerned thinking that if they're thinking 5 to 6 weeks and they haven't tagged him yet, then they're waiting until it gets closer to where it'll be that 4-week window where they can bring him back. So I kept thinking it's at least another 4, but okay. Well, all right. Well, yeah, I don't know. I think maybe I'm keeping Cup here too because I think that Andrews is mostly done. He'll still find his spots. He'll have his games, but I don't think it's going to be anywhere near the Mark Andrews that he had before. So obviously, if you're desperate for a running back, but I kind of feel like you might be able to get a little bit more and not have to give up another running back in return if you're giving up Cup. So maybe keep looking around. Let's see. He says he already has Adams, Diggs, Harrison Jr., and McConkey. So he's saying I'm already good at wide receiver, is what he's trying to say
Which
here.
is
So
fine, but then go trade Cup for a different running back. I would one that's healthy and can play for you right now.
and yeah, avoid the Dolphins till Tua returns for sure. Let's see, where were we? Zamir White.
What did I say last week?
Oh, I don't remember. You said a lot.
I said last chance. Last chance. He's
Oh,
done.
gotcha.
Gone.
Gotcha.
Out of here. Can't do it
Raheem
against
Mostert.
the Panthers. Get out of here.
Raheem Mostert,
Mostert,
another week closer to coming back.
Yeah. I mean, you can't trade him because he's hurt. You got to hold him. Just wait for him to get healthy.
Gus Edwards, who's still technically listed as the starter for the Chargers.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it depends. Like, if you have J.K. Dobbins, I'm not cutting Gus Edwards. I'm keeping
Oh,
Gus
okay.
Edwards. But
Gotcha.
if I don't have J.K., I'm not stashing him and waiting for J.K. to get hurt.
So you're trying to trade him to the J.K. owner.
Yes.
Javonte Williams.
He's been dead before the season even started, so.
Pat Mahomes.
Yes, we're keeping Pat Mahomes.
All right. I mean, I keep leaving him on here. He's still not in the top 12, so I don't know.
I mean, I get it, but what are you going to do? What are you going
to Dak Prescott. Pretty much the same scenario.
Yeah. Especially going up against the Giants here.
Your two favorite quarterbacks, Matt Stafford and Jared Goff.
I mean, I hope I have a better option than Stafford at quarterback, and that pains me to say because dude, he did work last week with the amount of times he got hit and pressure, but from a fantasy standpoint, with that offensive line, you just can't count on production. And Jared Goff, I mean, he's been nothing but underwhelming. So, not either trade or cut.
These first four games were supposed to be the big games that Goff was going to help set you off as a leader in your leagues, because if you stream quarterbacks, he had the ideal schedule for the ideal type of game for Jared Goff, and he's really let us down. So I'm cutting him just out of spite. Trevor Lawrence, we've already discussed, so I think we're ready to move on from him. Aaron Rodgers.
I'm keeping him. I mean, he looked good last week.
Yep, looking better and better each week too. So yeah, it looked not looking timid at all. Actually moved around the pocket a little bit. That was interesting. And then Brock Purdy with a back injury now, but coming off of that huge game this week.
Yeah, I like Purdy. I'm not getting rid of him.
Hot waiver ads. These are guys, we're just going to select one waiver pick. They have to be somebody that's rostered in 60% of leagues or less. This will be a player that you want to pick up now and keep for the rest of the season. Okay, so keep that in mind because oh no, that I was thinking of streamers. Okay, so pick up and keep for the rest of the season. So I went with Juwan Jennings because he was getting targets every week, or he has been getting targets every week, even in week one. He's got this good rapport that we got to see with Brock Purdy. So he's going to be a high floor flex starter every week, in my opinion, even when Ayuk and Debo are both 100%. I think he's going to be involved enough in that offense with that rapport that he'll be able to be a flexible starter every week. So now notice what I said, flexible starter. I'm not saying he's going to get all those crazy points that he got the other night. He's not going to be able to sustain that, and especially when Ayuk and Debo are 100%. So please don't go out there and spend all your waiver fab on this wide receiver because he's going to be a flexible starter for you. That's not what we're doing here. We're trying to find a guy that's going to be able to at least be in your starting lineup and help your starting lineup each week. Nate went with Bucky Irving. Todd Bowles said that he's going to start giving the rookie running back more touches. Buckshot is what he calls him, is rostered in 32% of leagues. I'm swooping him up now and seeing what happens the next couple of weeks. And then Mark, did you have a hot waiver ad?
I skipped over this somehow, but I'll give you a sneaky one here. So this isn't somebody we're going to pick up and we're going to start this week. This is if you have a deep bench and you need a running back. I'm picking up Clyde Edwards-Helaire and I'm stashing him. There's been talk that he might be ready to come back sooner or later. He was put on the I don't know if it was actually the IR, but it was been
that was the commissioner's exempt
list.
Yeah.
So I think he still has a couple more weeks that he has to miss. But it was for mental health issues, and word going around is that things are looking better, and he might be ready to come back. And with that running back mess, if Kareem Hunt, like we talked about before, like coming fresh off the street, is he really going to be game ready? I don't know if I really liked what I saw out of Carson Steele last week.
What?
So, I mean, he
Watch
could
your
be a sneaky ad. That's who I'm going with.
Carson Steele just got the ball and leaned forward and got 3 yards every single play. So that's, I mean, if you need 3 yards, he's your man. But no, I'm going to tell you the same thing that I told my brother-in-law Sam when he called me earlier this week talking about Kareem Hunt, and we got to talking about CEH. The thing about CEH is, I think that anybody is absolutely crazy if they think he's going to do anything, but it's a free pickup right now, and I'm wrong. Like, I have been wrong. I will be wrong. I'm wrong a lot. So when you guys have heard all these years of me talking badly about CEH, and then you go see me pick him up in a league in this type of situation, this scenario, it's because he's free. Like, who cares if I'm wrong? Then I can just cut him. So, if I'm wrong about picking him up, or if I was wrong before and he ends up being right, at least I got him for free. Whatever. Like, that's why that makes this a really good hot waiver pick. So I like it. The stream of the week. This is more about picking up one player that you love the matchup for this week, just this week, and they're not necessarily going to hang on to them. But in some cases, we do. But this time, I actually went with 2 because there were 2 streamable defenses out there that I really like. Again, we usually choose skill position players, but these defenses have been screaming out to me, and I'm putting in for waiver a little bit of fab here and there in all of my defensive special team leagues. That's the Bears going up against the entire backup team of the Rams with Stafford, or you can go get the Tennessee Titans, who are going up against a backup or potential third stringer in Miami, but the rest of the Miami team is healthy. Either way, those 2 defenses should be able to score you a solid amount of points. I lean more towards the Tennessee Titans just because I do still believe a little bit more in Stafford to help right that ship than I do in Caleb Williams to be able to maintain a good enough of a flow of that game for the Bears to, be able to score a ton of fantasy points, but I think they'll hold them back. And then Nate went with Tutu Atwell. Not sure when Cup will be back. He says that Stafford is a dog and he will make it work with the defense or the D squad receiving core. Okay. He's calling the current squad the D squad. I get it.
All right. Mine, you yourself are doing it this week. Pick up Andy Dalton. He's not going to be this low owned going forward, and scoop him up now. And can't go wrong with a matchup, like we said earlier, against the Bengals secondary.
I like it. There's more to Rich's question. Rich says that he currently already has Barkley, Taylor, and Henry. So dude doesn't need a running back, like, at all. Except, like, for me, like, I love depth. I love having a lot of running backs. But I'm definitely not giving up Cup for my RB4 because he would be the RB4 here.
Especially with the mess that's going on, which he should know about in Las Vegas. Like, if Adams gives up and gets frustrated, you could need Cup later down the line.
Yeah, definitely hanging on to Cup. Let's see. What do we got? One and done. So this is a fun game that Mark has got us on, where we choose one player at each position: quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, and then we can't pick them again for the rest of the year. So last week, week 3, I chose Joe Burrow as my quarterback because I told you that was my opportunity to take him going up against that bad of a defense, and I'd have to get him out of the way. Then he ends up scoring really well for me, 31.36. So I kind of felt bad for bad mouthing the guy. And then let's see. Then I went Jordan Mason, 10.8. That one was kind of a dud. Garrett Wilson, 14.3. I was okay with that. Brock Bowers, 7.1. Not what I was hoping for there. My tight ends have been a little rough. But on the season, right now, I'm sitting in first place at 186. For this week, I'm going Kyler Murray. Let's see if I put down any notes in here along the way. Nope, I did not. So I'm going with Kyler Murray this week, and the reason is Kyler Murray's going up against the worst team in the league against quarterbacks in Washington. Mix in the fact that he has that ability to go ahead and run a little bit when he feels the need to. I kind of hope that he runs a little bit more than he has been, but I do like the Kyler Murray matchup here, so I'm going with that one. I'm going with another big stud player here in Saquon Barkley, and I don't typically like to use my studs this early, but with Barkley, you kind of worry about the ankles lasting all season, so I wanted to use him while I could. He's going up against Tampa Bay, third worst team in the league against running backs. Barkley's coming off of that huge week last week, and to be quite honest with you, he's coming off of pretty much 3 really good weeks. So he's had 109 rushing yards, 95, 147. He's mixed in the 53 receiving yards. He's got 5 touchdowns all together on the season. Dude is just tearing it up. They're going to use him heavy and often. So yeah, I'm going to go with Saquon Barkley here. And then I went Nico Collins because with Tank Dell possibly being out, like I said, I think they're going to funnel that offense to those wide receivers, the 2 wide receivers they have left there, and they're going to make it a more simple offense, kind of to help make up for that run or that offensive line issues that you were talking about earlier. They're going up against Jacksonville. They are they're ranked 25th, so the 7th worst team in the league against wide receivers right now in PPR formats. And then I'm going with Dalton Kincaid. So with Dalton Kincaid, again, another really good matchup against Baltimore, 2nd worst team in the league against tight ends. If it wasn't going to be Dalton, it was going to be Likely or Andrews for me. So wanted to kind of get Dalton out of the way and kind of see a little bit more situational football with the Ravens to see which one of those 2 guys are going to get utilized more in which situations. I want to see it a little bit more. We've only had a 3 games set to really look at right now. I want to get that more up to about 5 or 6 games and really start to get a better feel for when to play Andrews and when to play Likely. But that's my explanation. Nate's currently sitting in 2nd place. Last week, Nate went with Gardner Minshew, got him 16.96. Travis Etienne got him 12.5. His big game was from Amari Cooper at 27.6. And then he decided to go with Kittle's backup, Eric Schaubert, who got 6.1. So not a bad strategy. Use a tight end that you're never going to use once Kittle gets back and get him out of the way.
He took Kittle. That was his replacement pick. I had 2 weeks in a row. We had to swap somebody in for him.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So 6.1 there. So he didn't have a great week, but Amari Cooper definitely made it respectable. And that leaves him in 2nd place at 182.84. And then let's see, this week, who did he pick? He went with Joe Burrow, Aaron Jones, Mike Evans, and Tyler Conklin. All right, finish this segment up for us.
All right, so I'm currently in last place with 172.68, but we're all pretty close. We're all right there. My biggest problem, I cannot pick a quarterback to save my life so far. First 3 weeks, Stafford, Lamar Jackson, and Baker Mayfield, all under 20 points. Hoping to right the ship this week with Dak Prescott going up against the Giants. I think they should be firing on all cylinders in that game. Going with another biggie here, Brees Hall at running back. They're going against the Broncos. I know the Broncos looked good against Tampa last week, but they weren't the first 2 weeks. So I expect a big game out of Brees. Been talking about it all show. Panthers are going up against the Bengals secondary. So I'm going Deontay Johnson as my wide receiver. And then, like we mentioned before, the only tight end I actually am comfortable with this season, doing a little mini combo with Dak, and I'm going Jake Ferguson.
Nice. Obviously, love Jake Ferguson for sure too. That was a guy that we both wanted to put on our starts. So, the question in the comments here, Wyatt is asking about DeAndre Hopkins. I think that this is worth a little bit of a conversation here. So, D Hop, he's asking if he's worth a pickup or if it was an inconsistent fluke. I've got my opinions on this, but I'm gonna let you run with it first. What do you think?
What do I know? I mean, I have him in a couple leagues. The first week I bench him. And I'm talking on some bad teams. I had a couple bad dynasty teams that are in a rebuild where I own him, and he's been forced in my lineup pretty much every week. And I finally benched him last week, and he has a good game. So I don't know. I think we're going to see some inconsistency here.
Wyatt, I'm in one of the home leagues that you got me roped in, and you might notice I only had 3 wide receivers in that league, and you start 3 wide receivers, which is pretty on brand for me. I don't normally keep a lot of wide receivers, but he was my wide receiver 3, and I dropped him with only having 3 wide receivers. I still dropped him and picked up Gabe Davis instead. So obviously, I regret that one. So he's available in that league, and that's probably the league where you're talking about going to pick him up. Honestly, so we've seen that the Bears defense is better than we might have originally thought they were going to be. And against the Bears, he had 1 catch for 8 yards, 1 catch for 9 yards against the Jets, who obviously have a good defense. Packers defense isn't all that great. I mean, they're not bad, but they're not great. I feel like it's not necessarily D Hop that's inconsistent here. It's Will Levis that's inconsistent here. But when they have an easier opponent, an easier defense, if you've got the roster spot to hang on to him, he might be worth hanging on to and starting when the matchup is right in the right situations, especially with bye weeks coming up. So they've got Miami this week. There's a pretty decent chance that he could actually get some run this week. And then they have a bye week, and they're going up against the Colts, the Bills, the Lions. That might be a little tougher stretch, but if you can hang on to him week 9 and 10, Patriots and the Chargers. So I mean, what I'm saying is like there's weeks there where you could probably start him. So plus, Wyatt, you want to go out and pick him up. Oh, it isn't in that home league. Okay, well, still, if it were, then that's when you would want to go pick him up too, just so that you could mock me and make fun of me every time he goes off on your team, especially if you play him against me and he goes off, which is always good fun. Let's see your touchdown parlay, dude. Listen, do quarterbacks count, or
No.
does that have to be rushing if we pick a quarterback?
It has to be rushing if you pick a quarterback.
Because I can't pick a guy that's going to score a touchdown for you. Like, and I
Yeah.
did put it in the doc, but it looks like somebody erased it. I put one in there. So let me see.
Oh, I thought it was last week, so I wiped everything out. My pick wasn't great either last week with Jerome Ford. I mean, I think they're going a pretty heavy split now with him and Foreman. So
yeah, which is crazy. Foreman is. I thought he was been out of the league every single year for the last 6 years. He just keeps bouncing back. All right, I'm going to go with Brees Hall, man. I'm tired of not getting you a touchdown.
Let's do it.
Guaranteed. Like the odds are such that if you bet $1, you're going to win 50 cents on this one. Like you're still going to lose 50 cents by winning this bet. But I'm tired of being the one that loses it for you. We're going Brees Hall to get that guaranteed touchdown. Maybe that'll get the monkey off my back, and I'll be able to help you out more this season.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Mike Evans. Anytime Mike Evans comes out and says he wants to be more involved in the offense, yeah, they're going to listen to him and they're going to force feed him the ball. So I'm going with a Mike Evans touchdown.
And let's just choose somebody off of because Nate wouldn't care. I'll choose somebody off of his start list here. So
Nate put somebody in there.
Oh, he did?
Yeah. He said, Aaron Jones, sorry, I've been miserable the first 3 weeks.
Okay. I do see it. Okay. All right, cool. Even better. All right.
That's
cool.
against his own team, too. So if he thinks it's going to happen, I guess we got to trust him, right?
Well, I mean, it's your money, not mine. Let's see. Like and subscribe. Hit that thumbs up for us. Make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. Hit that notification bell so that you get the notification when we come on live. Sunday morning is our start sit show where we give you all the start sit advice that you need to get you through your Sunday. We got the Dynasty show every week that comes on with our man Wicked, and then AJ and Dynasty Dog Mike are on there with them as well. So a lot of different shows. We already talked about TGIF. So we got a lot going on for you. Patreon.com/Toilets and Titles. And then, of course, as always, hit us up in the Discord. I'm trying to find any wide receiver that'll put up double digits. Like I said, D-Hop will on occasion. Not my style, but thanks for yeah. No, he's too nice for that. But I absolutely would rub it in on somebody. All right, have a good night, Wyatt. Hey, Wyatt, do me a favor. Shoot me a DM with the wide receivers that are available in that league, and I'll see if I can't help you out. And of course, you can do that because you're in our Discord and you're a Patreon member, so I'll answer. So so shoot me that DM, and I'll see if I can't help get you a wide receiver. So, Mark, anything else to add?
Not really. Still living off that high over that win against the 49ers last week. So ride it into Chicago.
Right on. I tell my students all the time not to watch me, but I know a few of you still do. It's 10:30. All right. We have test review tomorrow. Get to bed. Be ready because we're going to rock out some multiplication with decimals. Y'all have a good night. Let's try a different one on the way out.
Grateful you chose Toilets to Titles. We give fantasy football advice to get your crap tanked to the finals. From Nate's cousin Eddie Persona and his unapologetic love for Chubb and Justin's hatred for Chris Ballard, our show is as good as a belly rub. Mark is the best of the